All right, we'll talk about the movie Romeo and Juliet itself, and it's set in fair Verona. We first see a newscaster, and she's delivering the chorus monologue that opens Romeo and Juliet, but she's doing it in newscaster diction. It's very funny. And of course, the monologue of the play tells you exactly what's going to happen. Two lovers, they're going to kill themselves. You're in for a hell of a time, people. And she says, is now the 2-hour traffic of our stage. And I wrote down like, oh, that's funny. I thought she was referring to like, hey, after this, we're going to get to the traffic report. And
yeah,
then
I did too.
Then the second time I watched the movie, I watched it alongside, like reading the play alongside it. And that's in the play.
Well, yeah. I just thought she found a different purpose for it.
Oh, I thought they added that. I didn't realize yet at this point in the movie that they're going to literally just take every line from the play.
But they still did something smart with it. They did make it seem like a news moment.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's what I think the play does really well in breaking it up the way that they do, in pairing it with emotion. That's probably why you don't have to totally follow the words anymore. At some point, I just follow their body language.
You could, if they were talking like adults from Charlie Brown, but delivering it the way they do and you see their faces, you'd still get everything.
Yeah.
Without having to understand what they're saying. And
which is very theater.
Yeah.
Everything's very big.
That's the conceit of the movie. They're going to throw you in. It's set in modern times, but otherwise the society still functions like medieval Europe. Like the dad gives away his daughter in marriage, and there's a police captain, but he's still basically the feudal prince of this town. They refer to like the walls of Verona.
And then they repeat the intro again right after.
Yeah, they do. Now, this time narrated by Pete Postlethwaite, who plays the friar. He then repeats it, which is weird. But this movie is mostly shot in Mexico City. I think it gets a lot of mileage out of just how cool Mexico City looks, but also how unaccustomed you are to seeing it. Because I think
it looks broken down, but built up.
I don't know if they say that this is supposed to be California, or I just read that on the back of the box.
Well, no, it feels that way because they're on a beach and they keep calling it Fair Verona, and I keep thinking Venice Beach.
Yeah.
And there's just something very like pedestrian about the beach. Like it's just part of these people's normal life. They go and eat on the beach. It's like worked in. It's not where they vacation and relax. It's just worked into their everyday. And there's something about that.
But you hear California, but you're like, this doesn't look like California.
But it looks like California if everybody shot everybody all the time and it was ruled by two random fucking white guys.
And the beach stuff was filmed in Veracruz, Mexico.
Okay.
But I thought, instead of big noble families, these are mafia families who have these corporations.
They're mafia?
They're mafia, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that till the second time.
I just thought they made widgets. And they were like competing widgets, Coke and Pepsi.
That's the legitimate side of their business.
Oh, well, I didn't know this. So there's a reason why everyone's got a fucking sword. My pow sword.
Yeah. And this, like, right in the first few minutes, you're getting like just so many cuts from news footage to real footage to stock footage to grainy footage. And then the parents will come on screen. You'll get titles so you feel like you're watching a soap opera. But that's why they call it soap opera. You're watching an opera. And we have all these great character actors. We have Paul Sorvino doing this insane Hispanic accent as Juliet's father.
There they are.
So tell us about the street warfare, Lacey, in this early section.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Immediately you see that there's a lot of testosterone, a lot of energy, probably a lot of drug use. These are, they clearly signal it as rich kids. Both sides, both houses have really nice vehicles and working age boys not working. So it just seems like these guys probably run the town. They've got nothing better to do. And they've decided that what they're going to do is terrorize the streets and act like they own everything. Mm-hmm. And to me, Romeo's side always seems more innocent. I don't know if that's like fair, but these are Capulets. Sorry, these are Montagues, right? Romeo's Montague?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so I'm like, oh, these are just some good old idiot boys being fucking idiots, but they're not going to hurt anybody. And then they get to the gas station. I don't know. And everything goes to shit really fast, but they seem like pussies as soon as they're pressed to do anything. There seems to be a slightly level-headed cousin who does not want any more violence, seems a little bit over it. Maybe he's been put in charge of the rowdy boys to calm it down.
That would be Benvolio,
Oh,
whose name means he's
delicious.
benevolent.
Oh, he sounds really yummy. And we see these high-heeled boots, but we don't see the person, and someone goes in to pay for gas, and then it's John Leguizamo looking very cute. I like his whole get-up.
Best performance in the movie.
Yeah, he's fucking awesome.
Coda, what say you?
Coda, what do you think of his performance? What kind of set him up to have to say yeah?
I like John Leguizamo in general. I've always been a fan
too.
of him. I mean, The Pest is one of my favorite 90s movies. So him in this role, I think was perfect for him.
I think he's like actually menacing. Like,
Yes, he scares me.
yeah, he's actually scary in this ridiculous movie. Like, ooh.
I mean, he can switch it up so well, and then you go like to Wong Fu, and then he's completely different, and then you go to the
Luigi.
Sure, and then you go to a fucking Ice Age, and then he can play completely subservient and useless, and
He has
Very convincing sloth.
he's very convincing sloth, and his stand up is fucking
Very
hilarious.
convincing
He's good at that too. He's very versatile. He is very theater. He totally hones in on his character. All right. Oh, Jesus H. Christ. Now we go to the next side. Now, here's the problem with fucking Titanic existing is that all I see in this movie is Titanic light. It's all of Jack that we're going to get one day. We got him smoking tiny little cigarettes. His hair's disheveled. He's writing in a tiny notebook, only he's not drawing or sketching. He's writing little notes, and he's in the water a lot. He's under the water a lot. It's very Jack. So we meet tortured Romeo now. He seems to be a family favorite. He seems to not have to get his hands dirty.
No, and whenever he's not around, his parents are asking, "Where's Romeo?
We're out. But that's what
Is he okay?
He doesn't seem like the muscle, but he does ride with the rowdy boys. But he seems to be kind of precious.
Yeah, because he writes poetry, so you know
poetry.
he's deep, and he's in love with a lady named Rosaline.
Rosaline.
Yeah, like Jack Dawson, Romeo fucking sucks, and you realize that as an adult, you're like, oh no, you don't want to end up with Jack Dawson or Romeo. You realize like, oh yeah, you're cool. He's cool when you're 9 years old, but then you're like, your insight into art is look at the use of color. And you're just scribbling in your little notebook and smoking little cigarettes as Radiohead plays.
Look at that collar, though.
Like, you know, he's listening to Joe Rogan. He's like a men's rights activist.
Shut up.
He's getting some dangerous ideas. Like, you know, he's very easily corruptible. And like, I think hiring DiCaprio to play that, you're kind of playing with fire. You gotta really help him along. And I feel like to give him all these weighty Shakespeare lines, I'm just not convinced by any of it.
Oh, God, as soon as he's on the screen, I'm in.
Soaking
I'm
your
in.
jeans, yeah.
I just love
Pulling
him.
up on Lacey's sofa.
Okay. I was wishing for more wrinkles because I do like the more weathered older version of him. But when you first see Claire Danes and you're like, oh my God, she looks like a child. Like they really are trying to go for the real situation here, the youth, the way too young to be making these decisions. How if you gave younger teenagers the ability to do what they wanted to do on the day-to-day, they would probably do a lot of bad things, a lot of big decision making that maybe shouldn't. Yeah, but now I sound like I'm against other things that teens should get to do, so never mind. I love and hate when we first see Romeo.
Do you like him in this movie, Coda? You'll set your opinion shall be the definitive take. Is he good or bad?
I'm with her on the part where when you see him, all you see is Jack, because that is all you see when you see him smoking this cigarette, writing his little poems, and it's hard to picture him away from that. But the way he talks and portrays Romeo is just I'm not a fan of it. I wasn't big on it. It was weird because it was like so mellow, and they try to make him out to be this bad boy, but you just you don't see it. You just see a little rich kid. That's what I see.
Yeah.
It's just a rich kid who doesn't want his mommy and daddy's money, but really he's still going to use it though. So it's just it's hard to take it seriously.
And well, Titanic hadn't come out, so it's not the movie's fault that we've seen Titanic,
Sure.
but I was astounded. Like, how similar Titanic is in its beats, like him being like led through this world.
Yeah.
But the crucial distinction here is he's also
got money.
rich and part of this world. People have always said Romeo's a tough character. Romeo as a character is reactionary and dumb and just bumbling into things. Juliet's the real meaty role. She's the one who makes the tough choices. Romeo's like the one who's lovesick and then instantly falls in love with a new lady. So it is a tough ask.
He instantly it's his idea to marry, and he marries this person after one day, and then immediately goes to hang out with the boys and escalates something into a fucking murder, duel, whatever. It's like, you just got a secret bride. You're supposed to be bringing the family together with love or whatever fucking shit you talked yourself into, and then you immediately sabotage the whole thing. Did you regret doing what you did? So you did this on purpose? Mm-hmm. It feels like self-sabotage.
Which is like drama, like in the philosophy of what makes tragedy in drama, they always point out Romeo's not a tragic hero. Juliet can be considered, but Romeo is not, because he's not hoisted by his tragic flaw. He's just dumb and unlucky. And that's what kind of makes him less compelling as a character.
He expects her to go along with it the whole time. He's kind of an asshole. He's kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's definitely like getting a little rape kissy. I mean, like he's all up. I mean, he's kissing her long before she was trying to be kissing him.
I don't know.
And he was on, a little
ecstasy,
drug.
Right?
Yeah.
Which I did not notice that when I was younger.
Party time.
Right. It's like, are you actually fucking in love? A second ago, you were like mesmerized by the existence of fish, and now you're like, girl with fish.
But it's why the play has endured so long, because like most people who see it are like, oh yeah, I remember when I was like that.
Yeah, and I got Twilight vibes. I got Titanic vibes. So the Titanic's always felt like more grown up, to a slightly more grown up version.
Romeo and Juliet's kind of like the Twilight of its day.
That's what I'm trying to say. A fish and a star. How are you going to marry them?
Yeah, you can. You can.
All right, whatever.
So Paul Rudd's in this movie.
Right, and he's very Paul Rudd. I was like, this is kind of a waste for him. And then he starts reacting to things.
He's so good.
And I'm like, okay, no, you're perfect at this. I don't even know if this was like built into the character. Is he supposed to be an unserious little man?
Yeah, he's a twerp.
You're sure he's not supposed to be more like Rose's fiance?
Like Cal?
Yeah, just a total prick, but still oblivious. I just
have to do a close reading again.
I kind of think Paul Rudd just like found a version of this guy that's really entertaining.
But this is, of course, he's coming off his starring role in Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers.
Oh, what a glow. What an afterglow.
So he's still riding that high.
I tell my girlfriend that I always forget that Paul Rudd acts in 90s movies until I'm watching that movie and I see Paul Rudd. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot he played in this.
And you're like, oh, okay, he looks exactly the same 35 years later.
I find this scene interesting. They open up. It's him. What's his name again?
Paris.
Oh, his name's Paris. Okay. Prince in Paris. Anyway, and whatever. Paris is in there talking to the mob boss of Juliet's dad, and he's asking to marry Juliet, and the dad is saying 2 more summers. I want my kid to be 15, not 13, is what he's saying. And I was like, all right, Dad. Okay, Dad. More grass on the field to play this ball. I like this. And I mean, Paris isn't like totally bought in, but he takes it okay.
No, the dad says like, okay, I know you want to marry her, but you need to convince her to marry you.
Oh,
because it's not just my approval you need to win her.
That's what I'm saying. He says nice things. He's a nice dad right there.
The speech he gives, they take out the line, "She hath not seen the change of 14 years."
Okay.
That's the only line they don't have him say from the play, so that they can't make her canonically 13 years old.
I didn't know they took that line out.
But yeah, that's the other suitor Juliet has, is Paul Rudd. We finally meet Juliet 17 minutes into the movie. Yeah, tell us about Juliet Claire Danes, Lacey.
So I don't find her gorgeous until she's got the wings on and she's staring up at the moon that way. I just find her very like childlike and too young, which maybe it's the point. She's with a fucking, nanny, a nurse. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's just, they do a really good job of making her seem very young, which makes sense why I like this movie at such a young age. I don't know. She's getting ready for a party.
Yeah, the Capulets are having a big costume party at their mansion, and Juliet's mom is like, "Oh, Paris is coming. You want to go see Paris?"
She seems to have her head in the clouds. When you first see her just underwater, looking like a mermaid, and she's just taking a bath like a big child, and then Mom, she doesn't seem like she's going to be the very smart person that she actually is.
Mm-hmm. But he does. I really like the way all of this is shot, especially when she looks out at the balcony at the fireworks, and you just feel like the promise of life for a rich and powerful young lady. Can't wait to get out into the world and see what it's like.
Right. Wings clipped.
At that point, we finally meet Mercutio, Romeo's best friend, played by Harold Perrineau, who I didn't realize was going to be playing Mercutio, but he is playing him as like unapologetically.
He's not gay.
I mean, he's coded as gay.
No, he's not.
All these retrospectives I've read have called him a queer icon.
Oh, okay. I mean, because he's going to a costume party, so it's so hilarious. And his friends have such a big reaction to his outfit that I thought that's the joke. But what I love about him is that, but he fucking works it. He has a full drag performance at the party. Like he shows his ass. Like even if he doesn't mean for it to be queer coded, it is. So, I mean, I guess I just don't know if it's intentional or accidental.
I think it's very intentional because... and
but he's got a beard.
To show him being so flamboyant and his friends loving and accepting him, and it not like the movie not needing to like look at you and be like, isn't this weird?
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
So, kind of cool for 96. But Mercutio is a lot. He's just manically sputtering all his things. And I've always liked in the play where Romeo just says, "Peace, Mercutio."
Right.
Thou talks of nothing. And if Shakespeare is like him, you just realize Shakespeare must have been a nightmare to be around. Must have been like hanging around 10 Lin-Manuel Mirandas.
No, that's too many.
Yeah. And then he has them all take ecstasy.
Yeah, Mercutio's a interesting character.
But what else does that that actor do?
Lost.
Yeah.
He's a great character actor. He's been in a million movies, but Lost.
He was also in a show, HBO show called Oz.
Yeah.
Where he played a prisoner.
I've never watched Oz, but there was a big Oz to Lost pipeline because Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse were such big fans of Oz. But we definitely know him best as Michael. Michael and his son Walt. So the Capulet party is crazy. This Baz Luhrmann would do this again in The Great Gatsby. Just big, insane ecstasy parties. And Romeo and Juliet see each other through a fish tank. Many articles I read about this movie call this scene iconic.
It is.
And it is. And Lacey will sometimes say to me, "Matt, you care about cinematography. I don't." And I will point you to stuff like this. The reason you like this scene is because of the way it's shot.
Look, I know I care about when something's good, and I know I can tell you when something's good. I told you that I can tell that was good. Don't make me say the same thing 3 times. But
it's good is what we're saying.
My point is, as I don't have to have it.
You don't
I don't.
You don't need the cinema in your movie.
Exactly, and I don't always notice it.
You don't need
Jesus
stuff on
fucking
screen.
Christ, and I don't always notice when it's bad in a way that takes me out of the moment, like you do. That's all. I'm just not a snob.
Yeah, it's like I read a book and it's like I don't need the words.
Oh, you're a fucking idiot. You don't need words in a book. You need pictures.
But when you think about it, it's kind of a little weird that they got a fish tank dividing the men's and women's bathroom.
Is that what it is?
Is that what it is?
I just thought it was a hallway.
Yeah, it's dividing the bathrooms.
Oh, I think
I
that
found
rules.
that out.
That is fucking cool.
I think we need to get one. Yeah, I'd put this like top 3 tank scenes in movies. I think Venom with the lobster tank scene is my number 1. And at number 3, I'd probably put Lethal Weapon 2. But
what about Slither? Creature. Slimy. Cretin. Slumber Party. With the girl that turns into the fucking flying demon. Help me.
Splice?
Yeah, Splice.
Oh, that was a fish tank.
Yeah.
Okay, that's number 4.
Well, and wait, in the Shape of Water.
Shape of Water, number 5.
Okay.
But we'll do our full rankings at the end of the episode.
Okay, great.
Yeah, she's literally wearing wings. Earlier in the movie, Romeo's like, "I want a chaste, virtuous young lady."
Edward. Wearing wings. Told you it's the twilight of our childhood.
And now she's here. And so they go into some elevators and kiss a lot.
God, is that hot. When they pull each other into those elevators and they're like getting there just in the middle of time in the just in time to not be seen, and they get just those moments that the elevator is going. Why is there an elevator in the house?
It's a big house.
Big house. But did it not remind you of our love? We had so many elevator moments because we met each other at work. So it's like once the elevator doors closed, it was Matt and Lacey time.
Lacey, you're revealing scandalous secrets here.
I just love
We
that.
kept it professional.
But not in the elevator. The elevator's our time.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it's not like we were
Your old
fucking.
boss
It's only
is
a
gonna be
couple
watching it and
floors.
be like, oh, that's why it took him so long.
That's why it was always just some sort of like emergency in the elevator. Yeah, no.
Yeah, but then they get split apart. Juliet's mom and nurse are like, come see Paris. And Romeo watches her get pulled away, and Leonardo DiCaprio has just the worst. Is she a Capulet?
Gross. They really should
The shock
brand
on
their
his
women.
face, and he's just
You can
standing there.
And also the Molly wore off. So he's like, oh, I'm coming down and this? Come on. But I think it is the most well-observed teenager childlike thing to just be like physically pulled apart and to be like looking for each other. And you're not far apart from each other, but you're both being asked to do something you don't want to do. And just the hiding of it, the hiding him, the close calls. It fucking works for my loins on a whole other level.
It does work for me because, yeah, that's what you're like. You're just reacting to your hormones. There's nothing else in the world except this person.
And you don't have the control that you wish that you had. And in your mind, you thought, if I could have a sleepover with anybody, if I could be anywhere, if I had a car, if I had the freedom, life would be so different. And then you don't realize, no, this is all fucking awesome as shit because you don't have those things, because of this yearning, because you can't get everything you want right when you want it. And when you grow up, it's all going to suck.
We have the balcony scene. And again, it's like impossible. How do you deliver lines that are just cliches that are so iconic?
These work for me the best.
And in the setting with the balcony is the most famous part of the play. We'll add a pool to it. That's what we'll do.
I fucking love these scenes.
And I think DiCaprio is good here with the physical comedy because the lights come on and he just bumbles around. He's good at everything in this movie except talking and making faces. And you know, he hears Claire Danes talking about Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo.
He's a bit of a creeper.
I mean, yeah, but that's in the play. Like, what do you, yeah.
I don't know. They took out the 14-year-old part. Why don't you take out the other creepy parts?
That's true. Well, but he doesn't mean to be creepy.
I
It's
know.
just circumstances. Yeah. And then they run into each other. They go swimming. They
Coda,
declare.
what do these moments do for your nether regions, huh? You into it?
Tell us about it.
Tell us about your nether region.
I'm on that factor of, homie over here, Leo, is just sneaking around this back poolside, just hoping for Claire Danes to pop out and start singing poetry.
Right. I mean, out of a
It's
whole
little weird.
mansion. Right.
But when I was a kid, I was like, yo, if this is real love, I gotta give me some of that, you know?
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You gotta go swimming at night.
This is the height of romance. Yeah. Every time we've swam, like,
Ugh.
we're like, let's recreate something magical. It fucking sucks.
It sucks. Well, especially at night. It's cold. You can't see anything.
There's mosquitoes.
There's mosquitoes. It's not sexy like this.
Lacey, I enjoy this as a romantic scene. None of this movie do I find sexy at all.
God, it's so hot.
That's so weird.
And he's over there in a pool wearing chainmail. Like, come on.
I was
That's gotta
concerned
be
for his
really heavy.
safety. Right. Yeah. You're gonna sink.
He's just over there. Oh, shit.
You're gonna rust.
He's gonna sink in this 3 feet of water. So yeah, but you also find Twilight sexy. Like you find
Yes, it's because girls are supposed to be chaste. This is romance that's okay. They kiss and immediately decide to get married. You don't understand the very like sexed up movies like Jawbreaker, like oh God help me. There's so many movies that I watched as a kid where I'm just like, I'm not this. I can't be this. I'm not this.
Cruel
I can't be. I'm gonna get in
Intentions.
so much trouble. Cruel Intentions. It felt so foreign. I felt so left out. I felt like I don't make sense here. I'm not supposed to enjoy this. I watched this and I'm like, well, there's a version of love that I'm allowed to have. Just a lot of kissing, and then you get married, and then you kiss a lot more, and it just felt so fucking safe and so. Like, if only a guy would only want this from me, I could do this and I could still love myself.
yeah. I will point out your almost 40 now, though. You're not a kid. So.
I know, but it still pulls on those heartstrings of like, I was wired to think I needed to be like this. And when I was any other way, I felt like a fraud. It wasn't until I was with you that I felt like okay with like being
going in the pool. Yeah.
Right. Going in the pool.
Going in the pool.
So they agree. They're going to get married tomorrow in secret. That's their plan. And finally, we get to Pete Postlethwaite. The whole movie, I've been like, when is it going to get to Pete Postlethwaite?
Well, he's not called Pete Pasta. Hurry up.
And he plays Friar Lawrence. And he's lecturing some kids about some herbs. And then Romeo comes in and he's like, Father, I met a girl. And he's like, again. He's like, no, but for real this time. And Father Lawrence is quickly like, oh, I believe you this time. She sounds like the real deal. Why don't you come get married? Come around too. And he's like, okay, good. And there's a kid choir singing When Doves Cry. And
it's so pretty. That choir kid is good. She has never looked more young than when she's about to get married.
Yeah, when she's marches down the aisle, she is tiny.
Her
is
hair
Juliet, is Claire Danes.
Well, and her hair is supposed to signal child. I mean, bangs.
And she's in a wig the whole time.
That's a wig?
Yeah. Yeah, her real hair made me look older.
She also had a special wig for the underwater scene.
Mm-hmm. Lacey, your wig dar didn't go off.
It doesn't.
Slipping.
No, it doesn't. It just bad wigs. I learned about when we were watching Twilight that almost every single character has a wig on. I had no idea.
That's just, in movies, because especially if you're shooting over a long period of time.
Yeah.
You got to control that.
See, and everyone on that live also said that. And I was like, well, I'll go fuck myself. Sorry, I didn't know that. Very interesting fact. Leo gets to look fucking normal and sweaty and hot with his real hair all the time.
He's hot
he's
right
so
here?
hot. I can't take it.
Lacey,
my body.
That's the least hot thing you've ever said.
Look at him.
Yes, he's a little boy.
He's 21.
You want to fuck little babies.
Okay. How
you admitted it?
Dare you? I want to fuck young 20-year-olds. That's what I know. Well, only if it's Leonardo DiCaprio. That's what.
Well, wait. Before they get married, let's just Mercutio and Benvolio. They talk to Romeo. They're like, "Hey, Tybalt challenged you to a duel," and he's like, oh, "Okay, but I'll deal with that later." The Juliet's nurse comes. She's like, "Hey, Romeo, want to get married to Juliet?" He's like, "Okay, yes, we'll do it. We'll get married." Everybody's on the same page, get married, and then Love Me, Say That You Love Me starts playing. It's really good. Does everybody like this song?
I've always liked the song. I love the church in this movie with the fucking neon crosses and the way too many candles. I love religion in this movie. They're so fucking Catholic. God's on their gun.
This is such a Catholic movie.
It's amazing.
Crazy.
The big fucking Jesus-y thing on top of the church. The priest has a neck to butt crack fucking cross tattoo and wears see-through shirts to show it off. Like it's like, oh yeah, is it okay if we do raunchy dirty things as long as we're saying it's for Jesus? And that's what I love about it. That's the whole metaphor. As long as I get married, I'm going to get married for Jesus because I want to fuck. The whole movie is about let's do dirty things but say it's for Jesus. That's why I like it.
Why Catholic though?
That church is a giant fire hazard, though. I mean, you gotta admit,
right.
that's a lot of fire hazard.
And
nobody was attending any of it.
I think that in TV and movies, the biggest difference between real life and television and movies is the candles. There's so many more candles.
You know how long it would take to light all those? How many arm hairs you'd burn when you forget one that's over here and you're like, fuck, that one didn't light.
Yeah, every time you go take a soak in the tub, you got to light 14,000 candles.
And they all cost at least $12. You're going to burn each one every time. I'm going to run out of candle money.
Burning my wallet.
Yeah.
So what happens next?
Buddy.
You know what, Coda, you take this one.
So in this scene, Mercutio confronts Romeo on, I want to say it was on the whole Juliet thing and to have his back on everything between the families. And then the nurse shows up for Romeo and Mercutio calls Romeo a word that I actually had to Google, and turns out it was a slur. It was a slur for calling him gay. And I was like, what? And so wait, hang on. No, John Leguizamo shows up. I am. Why am I blanking on this right now?
Tybalt had seen them at the party earlier, and he goes to Juliet's father. He's like, "There's fucking Montagues here," and Mr. Capulet's like, "It's okay, don't worry about it. We're having a good time. Why don't let this upset you?" And he's like, "Well, I'll get my revenge one day, and that one day is now.
The next day.
You came to our party, you son of a bitch. Now let's duel."
Okay, but this doesn't make sense because like literally Mercutio to get fucking DiCaprio's attention just goes pow pow in the air. He shoots his gun. The thing they do for funsies is just like lighting matches, setting things on fire with gas, and like
there's even a scene where he's shooting into the ocean.
He's just shooting into the ocean. Probably, like, I mean, that's their whole thing is gunplay. They are bored rich guys. So then fucking Tuttle or whatever his name is shows up and it's like, okay, let's do the thing where we do the shoot. We're gonna have a duel or whatever, and they do it, but then that goes different, and so instead it's just some hand to hand rough stuff. They break a mirror or a window or something, and Mercutio gets up and he's like, "Oh my god! One of us was injured, and it was me." How did people die in this world all the time because of y'all? How are you so surprised?
Yeah, but this time it's one of them. Wait, you missed something very important.
What?
Tybalt says, "Romeo, I want you." And Romeo's like, no. I love you now. I can't tell you why. I have a super secret reason that I now like your family, but don't ask me why. I'll tell you later. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, let's kill each other. And he's like, no, I don't want to fight. And then Mercutio calls him a pussy. And then Mercutio decides he'll duel instead. And then Tybalt kills Mercutio with the glass. In the play, he says it's only a scratch. Yeah. I did remember the play I saw in third grade, the actor who played Mercutio shouting, "It's only a scratch." And I still think it's funny. And then Romeo goes super mad and he's like, "No, I'm going to kill some motherfuckers." And DiCaprio couldn't be less convincing as a rage-filled monster. But he goes and he kills Tybalt dead and then shouts to the heavens, "I am fortune's fool."
Well, that's because Mercutio gave him a pox upon his apothecary. He cursed his family and he made a hurricane happen in real life.
Mercutio says, "A plague, oh, both your houses." And he says it multiple times, but it's like he'll say some other stuff and then go back to it. "A plague of both your houses."
Rude.
I like the way that sounds. I'm just going to keep saying it until I die.
Leo, Romeo is like 3 feet away from, in the scene where he shoots him, he's like 3 feet away from him. He shoots like 4 times and only hits him 1 time. He's actually shaking the gun as he's shooting at him.
Yeah.
Praising
Yeah,
her.
none of these guys are very good at anything.
No, they do not. They don't look to be good. They do seem like they have a lot of toys and a lot of time. That's what they're supposed to be, and that's what they are.
But Tybalt, or at least the way Leguizamo plays him, is like he's the actual badass. Like he will actually shoot you, from 1,000 feet away and get you. But
right.
Yeah, he has a scope for his sword.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay, so
what are these scenes? Why do you have the dad looking this way at his daughter's tits?
Well, I'll explain.
Ugh.
Lacey has a bad habit of describing in this audio podcast of describing things that only we can see.
Oh, whatever. You have a bad habit of showing me pictures and telling me not to look at them.
So the Captain Prince shows up and he's like, "This is some bullshit. Romeo is banished." And Romeo's like, "That's worse than death." So he goes to Friar Lawrence and he's like, "I don't know what to do." And Friar Lawrence comes up with a plan. Go visit your wife and then go into hiding in Mantua. So he goes to Juliet's house and they start kissing each other real hard.
Ew.
And then Desiree's song, "I'm Kissing You,"
Stop.
plays and they make tender childish love.
Stop.
And the next morning, they're like, he's playful under some blankets, and I just barf at how much I hate him here.
I love him so much.
And then he flees for Mantua, and Juliet has a premonition of him being dead in the pool.
Before he makes a giant splashing sound in the water of a pool that's like 3 feet from the balcony that nobody can hear, apparently.
Right, yeah. I know. Fucking, moms hear what they want to hear. You know what I'm saying?
I was going to say.
Like, okay, I don't want that to have been one of those boys.
But the dad has finally capitulated to Paris. He's like, "You can marry my daughter. Marry her on Thursday." We'll go tell her the news.
She'll be so happy.
So they go tell Juliet, and Juliet says,
Juliet's making the Homeland face.
fuck no, I'm not going to marry him. And he's like, will we disinherit you? You're no daughter of ours. And she says, fine. And that's why, people point out Juliet's the one who's the actual active character. She's making choices, making sacrifices, trying to be true to herself and her love. I'd rather live in honest love with Romeo than have the wealth and titles of my family. And if this means my death, then I go and I welcome death. And Paul Sorvino yells at her a lot, and he's a trained Shakespearean actor. I think he's really good here when he's, yelling at her, hang thee, young baggage, disobedient wench.
I think out of everybody, he's the one that delivered the Shakespearean lines the best out of the whole movie.
Yeah.
He looks like Caesar.
He was a stage trained Shakespeare actor. I mean, in movies he mainly plays mobsters, but
right. But it's like he understands you have to do it with your full throat. You have to do it with gusto.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do it like it's the most important thing you've ever fucking said, and then people buy in.
He's also really good in I want to say it was one of his last roles, which was Repo the Genetic Opera.
Oh,
he did really good singing in that one too.
Oh, my favorite performance of his is he plays Henry Kissinger in Nixon, which was the year before Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've seen that one.
That's so good. It's crazy, but it's really good. And the nurse says, Juliet, you really should marry Paris. And Juliet's like,
traitorous
fine,
bitch.
that's what I'll do. Fingers crossed behind my back. Okay, so the friar has a plan. And I gotta say, this whole play is the friar's fault. He's not he's not good at scheming. He's not good at communicating. He's like, okay, listen, Juliet, you take this potion. It'll make you look like you're dead for 24 hours.
There's little Montague boys running around all the time. That is far better way to get word to. Why are you using UPS? Like, just fucking tell a few people. They'll get it back to him.
Yeah.
Idiot.
Romeo, who's in exile in Mantua, he's like, I'll send a letter via this dumb postal service, this privatized postal service, post haste it's called, and they'll deliver the letter to Romeo. Romeo's also a dumbass. He's not going to pick up the mail. He's in the backyard fucking hitting balls with a cricket mallet.
Shooting rattlesnakes.
And of course the letters do not reach Romeo. And Juliet drinks the potion. She appears dead. So instead of a wedding, they have a funeral, a very hasty funeral.
Very fast. They don't embalm these days. That would have been a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Wake up and you're stuffed with stuff.
But I like that the movie, even though it's appears to be set in the present, all the rules are still medieval rules. Yeah. I like that. There's no judge
and jury. It's just like, no, if you guys do that again, you're both going to die. Mm-hmm. I, the prince, say you doth dead.
Mm-hmm. So the friar's having a funeral, and then Romeo's friend Balthazar pops his head into the church, and he sees, and then the friar sees his friend run off, but instead of going after him, he's just like,
after him.
He's like, no, maybe I'll make another call to the postal service. I don't know.
You see it on his face. He's got messenger written all over it.
Also, Balthazar sees that Juliet is dead, and he's like, oh, I got to tell Romeo right now. He's like me when I find out a celebrity dies. I got to tell people
tell
right
somebody.
Away.
Right.
I want to be the first person to break the news to you.
Well, maybe he knows she's going to lay there real sexy with candles, and if Romeo wants to get one last, you gotta go.
I think you might be right.
Yeah. What, Coda?
Oh, I was just saying, like, it's just the way that whole setup is. Like, yeah, I don't know why he's just like, oh, I'm just gonna go back to doing this fake funeral real quick.
Right, I'll make a call.
That guy,
because he's a pro. He knows if there's one thing he's good at, it's delivering funeral rites.
Is this the third time in this scene that Romeo screams at the sky?
It's like the priest is like that alcoholic dad that thinks he gives good advice, but really it's like the worst advice ever, but the kid still listens to it. And it's like, oh, I'll go along with it. It's
just
okay.
pats him on the
It's a very specific comparison.
It's very specific.
But I love it. So, Romeo out in Mantua, Balthazar comes. He's like, oh, Balthazar, great news you've brought me, I'm sure. He's like, oh, actually, it's the worst news possible. Juliet's dead. He drops to the ground. I defy you, stars. Juliet. He sucks.
Does not suck. Look how beautiful he is.
Yeah. Like, he doesn't go right off the bat and say, by the way, she's dead. No, he's like, I got some good news and I got some bad news.
Good. They
like,
didn't
which
have the
one you
wedding
want
after
first?
all.
Right. She looks great.
Another special, Friday special at Ralph's.
Right. So if you're into that, I've got a surprise.
I like that they cut back to Pete Postlethwaite and he's like on the phone with the postal company. He's like, but I said the letter was important.
If it's that important, get in your little Pope mobile and drive to Mantua. Like you have agency.
So yeah, now Romeo has his own dumbass plan.
And his own fucking druggist.
Yeah, he goes to M. Emmett Walsh, the apothecary, who also owns the pool hall, and he's like, I need a dram of poison. And M. Emmett Walsh is like, I don't give it poison unless you're gonna pay me.
Okay.
And I do love he says such mortal drugs I have, but Verona laws death to any he that utters them.
Okay.
And Romeo's like, well, I just wanted to do the voice.
I know, it's good.
But I like that he says, I pay thy poverty. And when, cause he says like, my poverty consents, but my will does not. Romeo says, I pay thy poverty. And that's when Lacey said,
Not thy will.
that's when Lacey said aloud, Shakespeare had some good lines.
See what you're doing? You're being a snob little
You
bitch.
were right though. You're right. He does have good lines.
Huh? Yeah, I know. You're celebrating me.
Yeah. So he goes back. So Romeo goes to the church. It's decorated like a Catholic wet dream. It looks cool as hell. The production designer is Catherine Martin, who's Baz Luhrmann's longtime wife, also production designer.
Wait. He has a wife?
Yeah.
That's not a gay man I was looking at earlier?
No.
Then he dresses amazing.
Yeah, Catherine Martin is his longtime production designer and costume designer, and she is great, and all his movies look incredible and have great costumes. So just shout out to her.
Shout out if you're listening.
I know you're listening, Catherine, and what I have to say to you is good day. So Romeo starts monologuing at the corpse, and he's about to take the poison as
You've never been a better listener, Juliet.
she's stirring. She's like yawning and farting and like basically like sitting up as he drinks the poison. She's like, oh, Romeo, good to see you. What? And this is a change from the play. A bad change. I think it's more powerful that she just wakes up and sees him
Why
dead.
is the body still sitting there?
Yeah. It's a
Like-
different time. This is how you have a
they're-
wake.
The friar should have been moving the body, but he was on the phone the
It's
whole
like, yeah,
time
we're
with
just
the
gonna
post
we leave the
office.
body here
Right.
for 48 hours.
Right. You know, that's still an alive person you've left unattended. Why is the priest not there waiting to like greet her in case Romeo's not perfectly timed this situation? She's just alive and
Yeah.
alone.
Because in the play, the friar takes Romeo in, and then Paris finds him, and they have a little duel, and he kills Paris. They eliminate all of that here.
Wait, then why doesn't Romeo know she's alive in that scenario if the friar takes
Oh,
him
not
in?
the friar. No, somebody else.
Fucking idiot.
Somebody else takes him in.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The friar is the actual bad guy here. There were many moments where he could have intervened to make sure this message was delivered. If he's so worried, oh, Romeo clearly didn't get the message, sit there, wait for the fucking chick to wake up, be with her until you can tell Romeo.
I think he's smoking those flowers he was harvesting earlier.
Ugh.
He thinks he's more capable than he is. Like Coda said, he thinks he's giving good advice.
Right.
But he's like, I don't want to drink this
He's that
poison.
drunk alcoholic father.
Right.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, anybody see my new back piece? Huh?
Oh.
So
What a snafu.
So Romeo drinks the poison and dies as Juliet wakes up and she's like, hey, what I miss? What? And yeah, he drops dead. And then we get the classic Claire Danes cries, the ugly cry, the red face and the lip. And she's great.
That's it.
Romeo, no. Romeo, no.
That part
Brody, no. I'm so sad. So she shoots herself dead. And the
In
families
a real pretty way.
are sad about it. And the prince is mad, but he's also like, you fuckers, I told you you didn't want to listen to me, but now your fucking kids are dead and I'm happy.
And like also, you only need to be half sad. Like she was already dead. You guys already had the funeral. We just need the other family to come in around being sad.
Now you gotta have a double funeral.
Right, like what?
I didn't even think of that.
This already
Yeah.
happened, everyone.
Hey, good news, your daughter wasn't dead. Bad news, she is dead now.
Right. It was a weird day.
Yeah.
Don't worry,
Right.
there was no blood splatter at all from the gun wound.
Just her makeup looks great. It was just a little.
Yeah, so in all a mixed day, you know, mixed baggage of a day.
Some good parts of the day, some bad parts of the day.
You want the good news? You want the bad news?
Right.
The movie does not show the families reconciling, which is always a big part of the play. Is now, you know what? Now I shake thy hand, Capulet. The newscaster comes back on. Never was there more a tale of woe than Romeo and Julio. And then Radiohead's exit music for a film plays, and it's fucking great. And I didn't know. I've heard the song 2,000 times in my life. I didn't know it was written for this movie. This is the film of the title, exit music for a film.
Yeah, I love Radiohead. I didn't know that was actually made for that movie. So
No,
that
me
is
neither.
an interesting fact that I did not know.
Yeah, and it's like one of their very best songs. And it's so it's so creepy and eerie at the end of this movie. I actually watched the credits a couple of times just to
Get an erection.
get an erection. Yeah, Lacey.
Okay.
That's the movie.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it.